This year, I want you to pay close attention to those who are close to you and those you are helping. Over the years, we have often thought we were acting in the name of God, only to realize others have taken us for granted. One of the most painful experiences, in my opinion, is showing kindness to someone who then considers you a fool. There is a story in the Bible that I believe has not received enough attention. As you follow this video series, you will learn how to detect a fake friend. So stay until the end. Matthew 25 verses 24 to 28. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming, I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore, take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. This story highlights the mindset of some people you trust. The servant believed it was acceptable to take from his master but refused to allow the master to gain from him. He received the talent but chose to hide it rather than trade with it, knowing the master would benefit. Similarly, some people you believe to be good are only presenting that facade to gain something from you. If you pay attention, you'll notice that the only thing they offer you is sugar-coated words to make you believe they have a good heart like yours. The master in the parable was not angry because the servant failed to bring profit, but because the servant had no intention of reciprocating the goodness shown to him. When people tell me they love or like someone, I often ask them, have you found out if they love or like you back? Personally, I rarely get surprised by people because I focus on their motives more than anything else. I have seen many whom I helped, yet they chose to buy from someone else instead of supporting what I was offering. If you study the Bible carefully, you'll notice that Jesus used various methods to deal with people, methods that many Christians today fail to follow. This year, start paying close attention to the friends and people around you. Examine and test those you have placed your trust and confidence in. As Jeremiah 17 verse 9 reminds us, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Have you ever asked yourself what Jesus meant when he said to watch and pray? Luke 21 verse 36? The Greek word translated as watch is agropneo, which means to stay awake and alert, like someone guarding their house to prevent a thief from coming unexpectedly. If prayer alone could keep you safe, why would Jesus also say to watch while you pray? Stay vigilant. There was a man in the Bible named Ahithophel. He was renowned for his wisdom, and the Bible says his advice was as if one had inquired directly from an oracle. 2 Samuel 16 verse 23. Ahithophel and King David became very close due to his wisdom and counsel. During David's reign, he sought Ahithophel's advice for nearly everything. One day, however, David's son Absalom rebelled against him, seeking to take his throne. To avoid bloodshed within his family, David chose to leave the palace for Absalom. While fleeing, someone came to him and said, Do you know that Ahithophel, your friend and advisor, is among those who have sided with Absalom? This revelation shocked everyone. Ahithophel, of all people, had turned against David. For years, David believed Ahithophel loved and genuinely cared for him. But this betrayal revealed that Ahithophel's loyalty was tied to David's kingship, not to David himself. David made a critical mistake. He never sought to understand whether Ahithophel was drawn to him because of his title as king or because of who he was as a person. David misinterpreted their relationship, seeing it as a personal bond when, for Ahithophel, it was more professional. When David lost his throne, he also lost Ahithophel, as Ahithophel's heart was attached to the position and not to David. This scenario plays out in many of our lives today. People seem to be with you, but in truth, they are there for what they can gain. They appear to love you, but in reality, they love what you give them, not you. Many pastors have fallen victim to this, mistakenly trusting church members or executives who were only there because of their positions or the blessings they received through the pastor. Unguarded trust leaves them vulnerable. As Jeremiah 17 verse 9 warns, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. You may love someone, but are you sure they love you in return? You may be supporting them, But have you tested whether they would do the same for you if the situation were reversed? Often, loyalty vanishes when an alternative arises. Even Jesus identified the man who hid his talent as his enemy. Luke 19 verse 27. But bring here those enemies of mine, who did not want me to reign over them, and slay them before me. If Jesus himself could deal with enemies this way, why should we naively allow unfriendly friends to destroy us? In this new year, take a stand. Examine your friendships and relationships carefully. The closer some people get, the more dangerous they can become. An example of an unfriendly friend. The Bible also speaks of King Hezekiah in Isaiah 39. When Hezekiah fell gravely ill, many people, including royals, came to visit him. Among them was Merodach-Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon. Merodach sent greetings, gifts, and a letter wishing Hezekiah a speedy recovery. However, this interaction ultimately served as a setup for betrayal, as Merodach's intentions were not as genuine as they seemed. When King Hezekiah received visitors from Merodach-Baladan, the prince of Babylon, he was overwhelmed by the unexpected visit. In his excitement, he gave them a grand tour, showing them everything. His palace, his treasures, and even the house of God with all its magnificence and artisan decorations. After the visitors departed, the prophet Isaiah approached Hezekiah and asked, "Who were those men?" Hezekiah replied, "They were visitors from my good friend, the prince of Babylon. He sent them to see me when he heard I was unwell." Isaiah then asked, "If they came to check on your health, why did you show them everything you own?" Hezekiah, still speaking about their gifts and supposed love for him, explained his trust in the prince. Isaiah responded, "It seems you are the only one unaware of how deceitful, wicked, and desperate the human heart can be." Jeremiah 17 verse 9. He warned Hezekiah, "As they leave, it won't be long before this friend of yours returns to take everything you showed them, and even your sons will be carried into slavery." Hezekiah, in disbelief, said, "How? He is my friend." This moment highlights the truth of Proverbs 27 verse 4. Anger is cruel and fury overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? Hezekiah failed to realize that envy and jealousy know no boundaries, not friendship, family, or love. Once someone envies or becomes jealous, their actions are not restrained by loyalty or affection. One of the wisest things you can do is to identify these kinds of people around you. Awareness and discernment are essential for navigating relationships and protecting yourself. Indeed, as prophesied by Isaiah, Babylon eventually attacked Jerusalem, taking away all the treasures and beautiful things Hezekiah had shown them. This betrayal came not from a stranger but from someone Hezekiah considered a friend. After Hezekiah's death, his son became king, and it was during his reign that the Babylonians invaded, fulfilling Isaiah's warning. This story serves as a reminder that unfriendly friends often lurk in our circles. While it is important not to become overly skeptical of friendships, making thoughtful and discerning choices about who you trust is crucial. Protecting yourself from envy and jealousy begins with understanding the hearts and motives of those around you. Hidden agenda uncovered. Proverbs 17 verse 17 states, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." The Bible teaches that a true friend loves at all times, not just during good moments, but consistently, through every season. A true friend doesn't betray you when offended or praise you only when things are favorable. True friendship complements, not competes. It is childish to assume someone is your friend when, directly or indirectly, they compete with you. Often, signs of betrayal or hidden motives appear long before the event, but ignorance or carelessness blinds us from recognizing them. 2 Kings 8 verses 7 to 15 tells the story of Elisha's visit to Damascus when the Syrian king, Ben-Hadad, was bedridden. Hearing of Elisha's arrival, the king sent his trusted commander, Hazael, with 40 camels loaded with gifts to inquire if he would recover. When Hazael reached Elisha, he asked, "Will my master recover from his sickness?" Elisha, staring deeply into Hazael's eyes, began to weep. Hazael, confused, asked why. Elisha replied, "Your master will recover, but the Lord has shown me the evil in your heart." You will bring great suffering to Israel, even ripping open pregnant women. Hazael protested, "How could I do such wickedness?" But Elisha had seen through him. Hazael returned to Ben-Hadad and relayed Elisha's message. The king would recover. However, the very next day, Hazael suffocated the king by placing a wet cloth over his face, killing him. He then seized the throne and became king of Syria. The tragedy is that Ben-Hadad, a seasoned warrior who survived battles and illness, was betrayed by someone he trusted completely, his own close confidant. Hazael had secretly been in competition with Ben-Hadad, waiting for an opportunity to take his place. Jesus himself said, "Behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table." Luke 22 verse 21. Like Ben-Hadad, it wasn't an enemy but a trusted associate who dealt the fatal blow. Let these stories remind us to be discerning. Pay attention to those around you. Not all who appear to be friends have pure motives. Be wise, guard your heart, and seek God's guidance in choosing your relationships. God bless you.